You had a good day?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, man. We got out earlier and dodged the rain, which is a good thing in Scotland. I feel like I'm overloaded with shit to paint for I was going to say, I've just demonetized your channel and I've been on it for like 15 seconds. Yeah, it's pretty sure as bad as YouTube, right?
I don't know, but I'm from States to be right back at the minute. I've got my AFK screen on at the minute.
Okay.
But yeah, yeah, the weather's been a bit flaky here as well.
But yeah, I'm feeling overloaded with like what needs to be done for 10th edition. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I might all the tanks that I've had since 6th edition that I've not yet painted. I'm going to paint these.
That's very true. Yeah, I was about to start throwing some paint on like a Predator from the 90s. It's ridiculous. Like this thing was lost to the like a cupboard. Was never coming out of the cupboard until I guess everything changed with 10th edition.
Yeah, I've got a stack of crates to the right of my computer desk, and one of them is literally full of tanks.
Okay. Alright, we're live on BAC as well. Good evening. I'm joined tonight by Mike Chili. If you haven't checked out Mike's Twitch channel, then you should check him out. And the Sexy Gladiator and Vindicator that I ran this week actually were painted by Mike. So he does Blood Angels commissions. I don't have a bad word to say about him. I mean, well, that would be fair, right?
Thank you very much.
So please let me know if the audio sounds okay on my end, or if you might actually be getting an echo from my microphone here. Cool. Alright, cool. Should be fixed. Oh. Yeah, so I've got this, I was going to say, this Predator. I need to actually look at it and see if it's got a coat of dust on it, if I need to get out some compressed air or something before I start putting some paint on this thing. Holy shit. I honestly thought this thing was never going to ever get paint on it. Like a Destructor from the 90s. So what vehicle are you prioritizing next, Mike?
Well, I've got so many that I do need to get paintings on it. It's yeah, and then I need to get Gladiator. Vindicator destroyer that I bought while playing yours, and then I was like, well, actually, I can't use it.
You're cutting out a bit on mine. Your microphone. Is it the same microphone you're using for streaming, or? Could be my connection. Good evening, Mark. How you doing? Good evening, Andrew. Adrian, Michael. What's happening, guys? I don't even know what colour you would paint this stupid, I don't even know what you call this. The ram on the Predator? What is this? It's a cowcatcher?
Nothing to say about people. Well,
yeah, I don't know what's happening, Mike, but you're definitely like breaking up a bit.
not that one.
I could turn my camera off. Would it be bandwidth?
No, it's not going to be bandwidth.
Oh, that's fine there. That sounded much better.
Yeah, I've switched to using my microphone directly rather than using my virtual one.
Okay, yeah, that sounds way better. Cool. Cool. Okay, yeah, good. So, thought I'd get Mike on since he's always doing my commissions and he's always playing Blood Angels and he's also painting Blood Angels. So we've been meaning to sync up for ages, right?
Yeah, for a little bit, yeah. Nice to be on air again.
I honestly can't believe I'm actually just putting paint on a Predator tank. Like, what even has happened?
Especially one of those Predators.
It's funny that's the one thing that I'm most excited about, honestly, about 10th edition, is it actually makes models which you thought you were never ever going to paint or you were never ever going to bother, and they'd just been like, they'd been condemned. You know, it's like that scene in Toy Story where, like, you know, the toys that just don't get played with anymore. It's like these models were never gonna, you know, they're never gonna get anything, and it's like, okay, now they're gonna get something. I ran Double Predator Destructor this week and actually kind of really liked it. I don't know if that's heresy or hereticals to say. I feel like it is heretical to say because some people are going to be like, you're not a true Blood Angels player, you're playing Red Marines because you've got too many vehicles in your list. But I mean,
Blood Angels still fill tanks.
I was going to say, when I started Blood Angels, we didn't have Sangre Guard. I don't even think Vanguard Veterans existed. I think
it was just a veteran assault squad.
I was going to say you were allowed one squad of Death Company, and you actually couldn't choose how big it was. Before the battle started, you rolled a dice for every squad you fielded, and it was, what was it? It was like on a roll of a 6 or something. One guy left that squad, or actually, was it more than one guy? I'm gonna have to.
I think you had to. Yeah, I think it might have been a 4 up, and then on a 6 you rolled again, maybe.
I don't remember. I'm gonna have to find that rule actually.
Yeah, when I first played Death Company, they had 1 wound plus 1 temporary wound.
Oh, the temporary wound, yeah. I forgot they even had a temporary wound. So for anyone that never played back then, Death Company had a temporary wound, and the way it worked was, like, during the battle, they had 2 wounds. But then at the end of the battle, you had to remove 1 wound from each guy, and then some of them would die at that point because when you remove the temporary wound, like, the squad would take casualties and stuff, and then that's how it worked for victory points. Jeez. I completely even forgot that they had a temporary wound way back when. Man.
Yeah, and if the chaplain died, the rest of the squad would go completely nuts.
I do remember that there was a rule. I don't remember what edition was, but Death Company always had to charge the closest, move as far as they could towards the closest enemy, and if possible, charge them. And you had no control over the Death Company. Like, you had control over them, and I think it was until they could make a charge, and then you were like, right, now you've got no control over them.
Yeah.
Turkey's got a question for the red painted Dreadnought. Which is cooler, the Leviathan or the Dreadnought? Sorry, the Leviathan or the Redemptor? Well, I mean, it's got to be the Redemptor now because you can't field the Leviathan, right?
I mean, I do love my Leviathan. I'm contemplating running it as a Redemptor.
Do you know what? You could actually just run a Leviathan. I think the Leviathan might actually be on a smaller base, though. That might be a problem.
Hang on, I've got one under my desk.
I think it might be on, like, the Redemptor's on a giant base. Like a really, really big base. Like, it's also almost abnormally big for those Primaris Dreadnoughts.
Yeah, it's a smaller base on the Leviathan.
But do you know what? What's really weird is, like, they put the Leviathan into Legends. If you actually go and look at the rules for the Leviathan in Legends, its rules are so bloody similar to the Redemptor. Like, there's nothing, like, obviously the Leviathan has the drill and the Redemptor has a fist, and, you know, one has the Redemptor has a plasma cannon, but, like, everything else, and there's actually pretty minimal differences between those 2 weapons anyway, right? But everything else, like toughness, wounds, movement, profiling, everything else is identical. So it's like, you know, when they basically said, like, oh, we need to remove the datasheet bloat. Well, the Leviathan is basically the exact same datasheet as the Redemptor. So if you had a Leviathan, it is a little bit frustrating that you can't play it now, because it basically, you know, like, they already made the rules for it. The rules are there. It's not like they they didn't make the Legends rules, and the Legends rules are super similar. I don't think it would have unbalanced anything to let people keep playing their Leviathans.
Or take relic contemptor dreadnoughts. They're basically the same as regular contemptors, just 5 points more to get all the extra points options. Why not just get rid of the standard contemptor and just go with the relic?
Marcus says, "I'm sorry, Assault Marines, you're not fun to play with anymore." Yeah, I'm experiencing that. I haven't run Assault Marines since like 2nd edition or something, maybe 3rd edition, and I'm like, oh crap! Now I need Assault Marines with Eviscerators and stuff like that, and I've got so many other Jump Marines, but I do not have Assault Marines. So I'm in the midst. Tonight, I'm slapping a base coat or something on this Predator, and then I'm going to slap some base coats on my command squad. But what's high on my table as well is Assault Marines with Eviscerators. I've never really ran Assault Marines with Eviscerators, but it's the mortal wound output from the Assault Marines that makes me feel like that sort of pushes them over the edge.
It's quite tasty. Back when taking Assault Marines back in 9th was kind of looking good for getting objectives. I bought myself a squad of Assault Possessors to slap some jump packs on to make Primera scale Jump Marines, because well
they're coming. You would think they're coming.
Definitely.
So did everyone watch the Battle of Okhra thing today?
No, that conveniently was at the same time that my boy was having a nap, and I kind of joined him in a nap.
Nice. Yeah, that happens as parents. I watched it. So basically the NIDS won, and they released a bunch of new NIDS models, which I'm not... Apparently it was very, very difficult for NIDS to beat Space Marines, using just the NIDS and the Marines that were in the Leviathan box. So I'm surprised that NIDS won. I was a little bit surprised that NIDS won, but I guess it possibly makes the story better, right? Because, like, if you think, like, from a Blood Angels point of view, like, people were almost making... I don't know if they were making fun of the Blood Angels, but people were saying, like, oh, Blood Angels, you didn't do so well in Devastation of Baal, did you? And it's like, oh, we needed the Ultramarines to come in here and help you out and clear out the High Fleet Leviathan or whatnot. Well, Ultramarines, obviously, Slash just got their asses handed to them because they lost the Battle of Okhra. Because, I mean, canonically, I guess, it was Ultramarines, right, that are... I mean, although you could play as any Space Marine faction, it's kind of that their cinematic trailer always showed Ultramarines, right? Am I wrong there?
No, that's spot on.
So the trailer, they had a little cinematic today, which was like a recut of the Leviathan reveal trailer. It was quite cool with like a new voiceover and stuff. But yeah, I think actually I think that's it's a good place for the narrative to go, because it's just like the High Fleet is still coming. We thought we stopped them in Baal, we didn't. They now try to stop them with this, like, I don't even know if it's a new crusade. Is it a new crusade, or is it still part of the Indomitus crusade?
No, it's a tangent off the big massive High Fleet that came to Baal, because this is coming from the opposite direction to where Baal is, but it's still part of the same massive flood of bugs.
All the bugs. Starship Trooper style.
Yeah. I was just thinking the only good bug is a dead bug.
Mark says that the cinematic trailer showed the world being lost when Leviathan was announced, so he thinks it was fixed. Do you know what? I've seen a few people say this week that they think that the result was fixed. I'm going to live in ignorance and say that they did genuinely do it properly. I don't know. Obviously, nobody knows, but I feel like they did it. I feel like it was a genuine thing. They would have had both reveals ready. They could have run with either of them, surely.
I was kind of hoping they would end up being a draw, so we get all the reveals.
Yeah. I thought when they showed the pointer like last week, though, I thought Marines were ahead. So I guess it swung the other way.
Yeah, we're at like 51-49.
Yeah. So have you you played much 10th then Mike? Have you
I've played three 1,000 point games so far.
Okay.
I've
All his
got
Blood
my-
Angels or his other factions too?
I only do Blood Angels.
I mean, you're in good company, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one of the games was against somebody it was his literal first ever game of 40k, so I went easy.
Oh, that's good to hear though. Like it's nice to, you know, like if I lose my first game at a tournament, then I well, I did it the last game. I lost my first game at the tournament, then I aim for best sportsman.
Yeah, well,
Because it's like you're not going to win the tournament, may as well make sure everybody else has a great time.
yeah. The irony is I kept on forgetting to declare an oath of moment target, and I still won.
The thing that I'm struggling to remember at the moment is rapid ingress, because I kind of like have my guys in rapid or in deep strike, and I keep thinking to myself, right, like if there's an opportunity here to get them in for rapid ingress, I really need to take it. And then it's just so alien to be considering, you know, doing it in the opponent's turn, so to speak. So it's like usually like I get through turn 2 and I'm like, shit, I could have rapid ingressed in turn 2. I really need to not forget to do it now in turn 3, you know? Because if you do it with the right unit, it can just give you like, you know, we always talk about those like 9-inch charges being super unreliable. So if you can get like a good rapid ingress into like a sneaky spot or something, then you just sort of remove those unreliable charges completely, I guess. Which is a big I guess it would be a big buff if you do it right?
Yeah, especially if you pair it with if you don't go in Gladius and get Assault Doctrine in the next turn, so you can really close down that distance.
I got clarification actually from somebody as well, because I wasn't sure about the rules. You know, if you attach a captain and you use the Rites of Battle, you can use like the free stratagem every turn.
Yes.
Or every battle round, I think it is, not every turn.
Yeah, back around.
You can use rapid ingress for free if the captain's attached, even though you're not on the board. It was in the rules commentary that is valid. And I hadn't realised that, because I'd assumed you couldn't do that because you know, you're not on the board at that point. So I was like, oh, you're not on the board, so you wouldn't be able to use this ability to get the free stratagem. But apparently you can't.
Yeah, and there's still a bit of confusion about what overwrites what with because the Overwatch strat as well says you can use it once per turn, but does those such rights of battle type abilities override that?
I don't think I think if the stratagem specifically calls out you can only do it once per turn, then I don't think Rights of Battle lets you override it. That's the way we've been playing it anyway.
Yeah.
But if it specifically says you can Overwatch, like if you have an ability that says you can Overwatch when you've already done Overwatch, then I guess you're exempt. And I think some armies do have the ability to do that, but I don't think Marines do, or maybe I've missed it. Ultramarines, you had one job, says Marcus. You needed one Blood Angels company in reserve, and voila, problem solved. Do you know what? Maybe it's a good thing though, right? Because now that Ultramarines got their asses handed to them, then surely that means, like, you know, people have been... Yeah, the $1 million question is, will we actually get Primaris Jump Marines in 10th edition? Because, I mean, realistically, we've been waiting for them now since 8th. In 8th, we got... we technically got Primaris Jump Marines in Inceptors, but to me, they don't really count. When I talk about Jump Marines, I feel like melee is what we're after, right? But then melee's got like quite intrinsically harder this edition. Like just to get units into combat, to keep units alive. I think most Blood Angels players now, or most of the people that have had on my channel, we're looking at about at least 50% of your army being like heavy armor now. Good evening, Knucking, how are you?
Yeah, I'm definitely not looking at Sanguinary Gods so much anymore.
No, I mean I'm not looking at them at all, man. It's. Do you know what? I made my new channel trailer like when I was off work like last month, and after I did that, like I've got all these these drawers and shelves that I like reorganized and like put little post-it notes on every drawer, so I know like which models are in every drawer. So if I'm going anywhere, it's easy to pack up the models. And I just have a drawer now. It's just like a whole drawer. Like it's got 25 fully painted Sangreguard in it, and now it's just like I finally got them already, and they just sit in the drawer and do nothing. I'm like, great. I mean, it was a bit silly that they were so important, right?
Yeah, well, you saying you've got 25 of them is all I can think of for my OCD of one of the complete things. You only need 4 more to have the correct number of Sangreguard for the chapter.
No, I believe it was 25 is the chapter, man. But people would run 30.
It was 29.
Okay, I thought it was 25.
I'll have to pick out my 3rd edition codex now, wherever that is.
Okay. I thought it was 25 because I thought when people ran 3 squads of 10, they were like canonically like breaking canon, like because there isn't 30 Sangreguard in the canon. Don't worry, someone in my chat is going to jump in 2 seconds flat and tell us that we're both wrong and that this is the right number.
I'm happy to be wrong.
But yeah, no, I have 25 of them fully painted, ready to go, waiting for a points drop. I don't know what they will do with their points drop, because I guess Games Workshop are super scared of them. They're super scared of just creating the meta again where everybody runs 25 or 20 plus, right?
Yeah, well, they've got it to the point where you don't want to take any, so whereas just the whole thing with Desolation Marines and how many...
can't be at the point where you don't want to run any. It's a bit silly. Like, they're such an iconic unit. We have to run some Sangreguard, right?
Maybe they just want to stop us buying them so that when they bring out the Blood Angel Codex, they can release the Primaris Sangreguard.
Mice is what we're painting today. You're on Infernus Marines.
Yes.
I'm on a super old Predator.
That's because last night I finally finished the Terminator.
Did you? Okay. Do you know what? I saw someone on Twitter, like people on Twitter now posting pictures of like their fully completed Leviathan box set, and I just said to I've got 2 boxes because I traded 1 box with Miles. I haven't even made a single model from Leviathan.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I swapped them all out. I've only built the 1 half.
Okay.
Got them all sprayed red except the Librarian and the Apothecary because they're not red. And yeah, so far I've always finished Terminators. I was really hoping, having July off doing commission work, I thought, yeah, I'll get them all finished in a month, easy. But
you paint pretty quickly, though. I feel like
I can't. Well, it took me a total of somewhere between 24 and 30 hours worth of painting to do the Terminators. 24
and 30. So that was just 5 of them, right?
Yeah, plus the teleport Homer.
Plus the Homer. So yeah, about 4 or 5 hours a model. I mean, you play pretty high quality, so that's not bad, I feel like. When I do infantry, I feel like somewhere between 5 and 8 hours a model. I suppose it depends on, like, is it a Primaris model or if it's a Firstborn model, because there's a bit of difference in size there, and then it also depends on, like, what finish I'm going for. Because if I'm going to do edge highlighting, like, because I do my Death Company with very specific edge highlighting, so I guess Death Company would be closer to 8 hours per guy, whereas, like, an Intercessor might be closer to, like, 5, right?
Yeah. Well, anytime I add yellow to a model, like, helmets or for some reason I decided it'd be a great idea if I could pay some hazard straps on the Pathists on these Terminators.
Do you know what? I think if I do my Terminators from the Leviathan box set, I'm going to try and convert like 5 of them to have chain fists.
Yeah, I think the other 5 I'm going to have chain fists because
I think it gives you versatility, right?
Yeah.
My says, have you tried? Have you tried Sangreguard with Rapid Ingress?
Well, I've not had a game big enough where I would want to take Sangreguard. I'm having my first 2,000 point game in a couple of weeks against Necrons, so that's going to be interesting.
I was thinking about running Dante. I don't know. I think at the current points cost, I'm really scared to run Sangreguard just because I know they die so quickly when they get shot. And I think that's what really scares me to run them. I think their damage output is a bit weird in that like they get a lot of value from the like people are going to want to run Dante, but I think the captain's actually the better choice personally, probably, because you get the free +1 to wound potentially, and you also on higher strength to begin with. So there's more chance of getting like a really good wound roll with the captain involved over having Dante. So no, I haven't tried Sanguinary Guard with Rapid Ingress, but I did use Rapid Ingress on a 10-man assault squad this week. No, I almost did. Sorry, I chickened out in the end and actually just brought them in turn 3. But you should have seen how much indirect fire that my opponent had. Made me scared to use that Rapid Ingress.
Yeah, I caught like the last couple of turns of that stream because I was playing that night myself.
Yeah,
I was playing. I was doing boarding actions actually.
Oh, are you? Okay. We have the terrain now. Obviously, you painted the terrain for my stream. We just haven't got round to. It arrived at bad time. It arrived at the time. Like, I guess it just arrived when we were. Ready to start 10th edition, I guess, right?
Yeah, I think I finished it like 4 days before the actual release of 10th edition.
To be fair, it was a pretty large. I think it was a bigger commission than we both realised. The boarding actions terrain.
Yeah, I've already decided if anybody wants me to do the boarding actions commission again, I'm going to trash double.
You're going to trash double? Okay, then I got a great deal on the boarding actions.
You got a fantastic deal, I mean.
Okay, I'll buy you a pint or something next time we catch up.
All right, yeah.
Or maybe a few pints, eh?
Yeah, might need to be a few pints.
Yeah, this is a very old tank. Adrian's asking how you paint. I'm not sure. I think he's. You can check out Mike on Twitch, 100%. I mean, he's live right now. I'm not sure if you can see his Twitch. You can see his Twitch URL on my screen, so it's just scrolling on the top on the window he's on my screen. So please, if you haven't followed Mike, then consider giving him a follow. And also, if you need a Blood Angels commission in the UK, then, like I said, he's. I mean, I guess over time, more and more stuff will appear that you've done on my channel.
Well, it's not just Blood Angels I do.
Yeah, for commissions, you do anything, right?
Yeah, although all the extra traffic I've got because of you has been.
I've been keeping you all busy, have I?
Yeah, because I got one guy who I did a repulsor for him, and literally the day Leviathan arrived, he dropped off his next commission for me, which is a Thunderhawk gunship. And
I was going to say, am I allowed to ask how much you charge for a Thunderhawk gunship?
More than the cost of a Thunderhawk gunship.
Okay, good answer. I mean, Thunderhawks are one of the few Forge World models that actually got rules for 10th edition, so I mean, it could be viable to buy one, right? It's got Assault Ramp as well. It's cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've got one myself, which I've used probably like 3 times, but never. I don't think I've used it since 7th edition.
Did I get my Dante yet? I have got my Dante, and I have I filmed a little conversion I did to him. So I put a decapitated Bloodthirster of Korn's head on Dante's base. I felt like his base was a little empty. Maybe that was just me. But I felt like his base was a little empty, so I also had a spare Sanguinor, so I put Sanguinor wings on my Dante as well. I filmed all that.
I got my 2 Dantes finally.
You've got 2 of them. I
saw someone. One for a commission.
I saw someone painted a white Dante. It was kind of sick. I've seen like see after Dante came out, like I look at the Blood Angels Reddit like most days, maybe not most days, every second day or something, right? And for like a period like after Dante came out for like a month, every day on the Reddit it was like every second post. Here's a picture of my Dante. Here's a picture of my Dante, and I was just like, don't know if I was sick of it as such, but it was just like, oh my god! Anytime we get new Blood Angels models now, for like a month or 2 months, that's all the Reddit's going to be, like just pictures of Blood Angels. Yeah, Joseph says this is no tank; it's a relic. Yeah, I mean it's funny that because this tank didn't get deprecated, but my newer models from the Horus Heresy did, I guess. I honestly thought I would never ever paint this tank, honestly. So that's the thing I like most about 10th edition, is it's got me painting models that otherwise were literally never going to get painted, and I don't really care if they become uncompetitive in the future, because people always say to me, like, you know, like, hey, should I buy this model? And my advice always is like, this edition has shown more than ever that it all goes around and it all comes around, and that, like, you know, this edition, everything that you thought was complete junk. Like I can't remember the last time I ran a Rhino before 10th edition for Blood Angels. Like, never. Like, 2nd edition or something was the last time I ran a Rhino, like literally 20 years ago. And it's like, now I'm running a Rhino for sure, and I think they're actually pretty good. And like, this week I was just like, oh cool, the Rhino just tanked up in turn 1, you know? I actually was going to use my Tech Marine. It was like, it was 1 wound away from surviving, and if it had survived, I was going to use the Tech Marine to repair the Rhino. Because it repairs as well.
Yeah, I was about to say, about repair itself a wound as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, back at the start of 8th edition, I painted up 3 Rhino/Razorbacks.
Oh, cool.
And I had never used them, and it got to the point where I bought myself a Whirlwind purely so I could just paint up a Whirlwind turret. Stick on one of them.
I was going to say you should have bought a third-party Whirlwind turret, and then you could have just put it on one of your Razorbacks, save yourself some money.
I've played in tournaments of Warhammer World, so...
Oh yeah, you live quite close, don't you?
Well, it's an hour and a half away, give or take.
That's how close I am to my, like, just my local GW. Kind of annoying, actually. And yeah, it's not a, I don't have a motorway between me and there. So it's like a single carriage road, which is even more annoying.
I've got a 20-minute walk to my local King's Workshop. And in fact, the house I lived in Worcester before I moved here, there's the same, so much so that I actually ended up working at that Games Workshop for a bit.
I have awoken.
Hey Todd, thank you so much for the membership. I do appreciate it. I was going to run a Vindicator and 2x3 Eliminators to try and take out characters. I think the Vindicator Assassin is actually really good now. I think one of the reasons I think he's really good is the lone operative keyword as well. So like, if you're going to need something to sit somewhere, and like kind of be... I mean, he's not safe, right? But like, he's not going to get... He can't get shot, or he can't get sniped back, or anything like that. And I guess that's why some people are thinking there's like a lot of value in that 5-man scout sniper squad, because the 5-man scout sniper squad can screen a little bit of the board and they can't get shot back. And
it's precisely that reason why I think what you discussed with Mark on Thursday night with bringing a squad of Inceptors in.
Well,
just
yeah,
so you can take out similar such units.
Yeah, I keep thinking to myself, I want to run. I like bolter Inceptors. The only reason I really like I've got both squads. I've got the bolter ones and the plasma ones. And arguably you could argue that plasma might be better, but when I first played Inceptors, I ran the bolter ones. And I think it was Reziel that actually kept badgering me. He was like, John, you got to run the bolter ones. John, you got to run the bolter ones. So I was like, fine, I'll run them. And I ran them to a tournament, and it was like one of the best tournaments I ever played at. So now I've got this like soft spot, and like everyone else is just like, oh, Plasma Inceptor is the best. But I ran them to a tournament and did really well with them as bolters, so I've got this super soft spot for the bolter Inceptors. I do really just want to run bolter Inceptors because they're basically heavy bolters, what they have now. And I guess it's twin linked as well. So you get from 3 bolter Inceptors, you get 9 heavy bolter shots, like strength 5 -1, 2 damage. But the Inceptor's guns are sustained hits 2 rather than like a heavy bolter, which is sustained hits 1. So every 6 bursts 2 shots, and then they're twin linked, so you can re-roll. So against like infantry of toughness 5 or less, Inceptors should actually just like wax them pretty good, I guess. And if you ever put like Oath of Moment on them on that backfield objective squad or whatever you call them, you know, wherever they're coming in to hit, it would actually be really strong. Yeah, I like Inceptors.
Yeah, I've got the ones from Dark Imperium that have just sprayed red and forgotten about, and then I bought 2 boxes a while ago, and got as far as assembling one.
A 6-man bolt or Inceptor squad is also weirdly tempting for Overwatch due to sustained hits too. Do you know what I found is weirdly tempting for Overwatch 2 scoops is Vindicator tanks. So this week I ran 2 Vindicator tanks, and I kind of had it in my head that because I was fighting like a really tank heavy Imperial Guard list, and I had it in my head, I was like, right, I know he's going to target some of my big toughness tanks. The second he targets either of my Vindicators, I'm going to smoke screen them, or I'm going to armor contempt them. And then like I armor contempted them, and like toughness 11 wounds, 2 up save ignoring 1 AP actually was like, holy crap, like you need a lot of firepower to get through that, right? Because like most of the time toughness 11 you're not getting a great wound roll. I guess like maybe your main cannon on another tank is getting an okay wound roll, but you know, like plasmas or multi-meltas or even like Armigers, autocannons and stuff, you're not getting a good wound roll against the toughness 11. So like toughness 11, yeah, that tank did tank. It like tanked a whole, like Andrew had about 800 points of indirect fire, and he had to shoot everything he had at the Vindicator, and I think it was like 1 roll away from surviving. Like it died with like the very last thing that Andrew shot, but it was like, well, you know, if one of your tanks eats up the entire, you're playing a 2,000 point battle. If you have a 200 point tank that takes every single weapon from his army into it, and just, you know, like, and almost survive, very, very closely almost survive, that can sometimes like be a win. And that's why I thought the Rhino was actually really useful this week, because I was like, you had to put a lot of firepower in to kill that Rhino. And if I'd had a CP, I would have probably armor contempted the Rhino, honestly. But I used the CP on Overwatch for my Demolisher cannon. I rolled the double 6 as well on the Overwatch, but I didn't actually kill the thing I was overwatching against. I was a bit disappointed. Had a shitty wound roll, but that happens.
Yeah. I had shitty advanced rolls in boarding actions on Wednesday night. I was like my heavy intercessors 2 turns in a row advanced 1 inch.
Do you know that re-rolling like command re-rolls is like the lowest value you can ever use your stratagems on? Like the worst thing to do. Like never use your stratagems on command re-roll. It never works out. It always feels like a bad deal.
Unless they're in boarding actions, because the turn 1 and turn 2 just goes by so quick because nobody can really see anything to do anything.
I see. Yeah.
So at the point where I actually start, crap, I just made the point where you're actually needing command points because you're doing stuff, you find you've actually got 4 or 5.
Oh really? Okay. Yeah, I suppose you don't. Do you still get 1 command point in both players' command phase and boarding actions? Okay.
Yeah, you do, and you start the game with 1 still instead of 0, which is weird. But
have GW released the points for the Legend model? Says Nathan. Yes, they have. They've released the points and the data sheets. And I was very, very sad when I looked at the Falchions data sheet and points, because it looks amazing. Its main cannon against vehicles and monsters does devastating wounds. You can do 48 mortal wounds from one of its guns. It has 8 other las cannons on it as well. You know, I was like, fucking A. They finally make the Falchion unbelievably good. And it's twin linked as well. So like you're fishing for 6s on the main cannon, and every 6 is 12 mortal wounds that you're re-rolling all your wound rolls. I mean, I just want to run the Falchion because it looks so damn fun. I feel very sad that it's not got... Like, I would have loved to run it a tournament with the potential of doing 48 mortal wounds. Even if I got beat every game, if it just did the 48 mortal wounds 1 turn, I'd be like... That would just be like...
opponent's face.
I was going to say, story-worthy for forever, right?
Maybe you should just run it in 1 game on a Wednesday night anyway.
Yeah, no, I think I'll run it for fun sometime, but... yeah, a bit annoying. I'm never going to get to run it at a tournament. But then who knows, right? Like, if they release a plastic one, you're telling me they're never going to do rules? I
mean, there's plastic Sakarans and all the other Horus Heresy stuff that you can't use.
I was surprised they wouldn't make like a Horus Heresy detachment and put those models into it, but I guess not.
Yeah, so it's actually making me consider switching my Horus Heresy army to Blood Angels, stocking use all my vehicles that I can't use in 40k tournaments.
Yeah, mine are just going to be expensive paperweights now. I think that's the gutting thing about it, right? It's like I don't have time to learn Heresy. I've got 2 kids, so it's I don't even get to as many 40k tournaments as I would like. I don't need to try and like. Pretty much in the last since I've had kids, because I have a lot of other board games behind me on the shelves behind me. Since I've had kids, I haven't opened anything but 40k. Like I get 10 other board games there, and I have got Star Wars Legion. I think that must have come out like a year or 2 before I had kids, so I have like a whole Star Wars Legion army, and it's just like I just never get time to do it anymore. Always just doing 40k, I guess.
Yeah, that was up. My Wednesday nights split between 40k and D&D.
Yeah, I pretty much stopped doing D&D. I used to be in. We didn't play D&D. We played Star Wars D6, which is basically D&D but Star Wars.
Okay.
It was I can't even remember the company. If you Google Star Wars D6, you'll see it. But it's basically D&D, but with you use D6s rather than like D20s.
I'd hate that. I hate the fact that we can't be sticking to the D6 and 40k as it is. Oh,
do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you might not like Star Wars D6. It was very easy to play though. It was like it was easy to understand because everything's just multiples of D6s.
Well, my problem is the 2 wound roll. So a strength 4 weapon against a toughness 8 target is no different to a strength 1 weapon against a toughness 8 target.
True.
I just don't like the range spread being so narrow on a D6.
I need to eBay everything that isn't 40k. I mean, I could eBay it all, Jason, but I'd be very scared that if I eBay it all, they'll change rules and let us bring some of it.
Maybe it means you Star Wars stuff and all the other board games.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, I could eBay all my other stuff. I really don't want to, though. I don't know why I'm getting to. My kids will grow up one day and then I'll have more time. One of my favourite board games actually is Imperial Assault. I really like that game.
Yeah, I went to just before my boy was born. I basically sold everything I bought off eBay, which I bought as like to rescue to make like a cheap good things, but just never got around to it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing I started noticing with 1,000 Sun army that I bought. Like, I bought like a bunch of points of 1,000 Suns, like 1,000 points of T-Suns, and then it was like I went and looked at some of the like receipts and was like, oh my god, I bought this army 4.5 years ago and I haven't finished a single model. I was like, maybe I need to tell myself I'm never actually going to finish this army.
Unless you pay me to do it.
I was going to say, yeah, because they never stop releasing Space Marines. I feel like I get caught up and then there's a new friggin' box.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've got quite a bit heavy intercessors that I was working on just before 10th drops, and they're not going to get touched till, for ages.
I was going to say, you actually did get your Desolator Marines finished though, right?
Yes, I've only 5 of them.
You did 5, okay. I wasn't sure if you'd done 5. Did you buy 10 or did you just buy 5?
I know I've got 2 Augustus boxes, so I've got 20 when I've painted 5.
Okay. I was thinking this week I might make some of those new Dreadnoughts. Has anyone actually ran the Ballistus Dreadnought? Because do you know what? I've been talking about it for a few weeks now that I feel like Gladiator Lancers are going to get nerfed because everybody's running them. I think at 145 points they're possibly just too good. So if they get nerfed, what are we going to fall back on? And Do you know what? A few people have said that on like the comments on YouTube sometimes, is people say like, don't go for the most meta. Like if you're trying to work out what you're going to buy next, don't buy the most meta thing. Buy the second most meta thing, because the most meta thing will get nerfed. You know, like
Yeah. Plus, with Space Marine Codex is going to be out in the next couple of months. There's going to be brand new shiny things, which Games Workshop haven't properly worked out how they interact with other things. So it's going to be overly strong. I think actually, let's get that instead.
yeah. So I'm thinking I might try and prioritize building those ballistas dreadnoughts. And I only bought one box of Strike Force Augustus. But I think at the moment, I think the Brutalis Dreadnought is too expensive to run.
Charging it into the night though is really awesome. Though.
Did you manage that? Did you?
I did.
How many mortal wounds did you? I take it you tank shocked the knight, did you?
I tank shot him and I did the mortal wounds on top, and I did destroy the knight. It was awesome.
Okay. Predator Annihilators will be your fallbacks this mark after Lancers. I mean, Predator Annihilators are very cheap as well. What's the buff on the main cannon and the Predator Annihilator? Because you just get one shot on the top cannon, right? Because it's twin linked.
Yeah. Yes, if my iPad was to hand.
I was going to say, I've got the card somewhere in this room.
I've got the actual cards, and oh my god, there are so many of them.
Yeah, I know. I've got the Space Marine cards this week as well. It's ridiculous. I think I'm going to wait to buy the Blood Angels ones. Reroll damage rolls of ones against monsters and vehicles. I mean, that's okay. I mean, I think then, do you run a Tech Marine if you're running multiple Predator Annihilators then?
Probably would be worth it.
Just to try and make that main cannon a bit more reliable.
Well, if you happen to go against the nose target, I know it'd be a bit of a waste on the for the twin link reroll, but it's got two other las cannons that won't be twin linked.
Yeah, that's true. That's one thing that I talked about this week as well on the tactics video, is like picking your oath target is actually kind of hard. Because like, if you see like a unit like that, for example, that already has like rerolls to wound, you're kind of thinking to yourself like, well, I probably shouldn't pick this as my oath target because I already get rerolls to wound. But then sometimes
you're still got to hit the damn thing.
Yeah, I think that's what was confusing me with Death Company. It was like, oh well, Death Company get rerolls to hit baked into them now, so I probably shouldn't pick their target as like my oath target, because it's like, well, they already got rerolls to hit, so that's surely a waste if I target their target with Oath of Moment. But in some cases, like, it's actually not a waste, like, because Death Company might only end up wounding on like 5s or something. So
I suppose it would depend as well if how confident you think. Say you weren't shooting something with Oath, how confident are you that you're going to kill it?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why Ultramarines are going to be so darn strong at the moment, because Guilliman just lets you move your Oath target around after you've killed that first unit, which is borderline. Like, I think that is just super strong. I do want to try Guilliman.
Have you played any games where you've not used any Blood Angel units yet?
Well, the last game I played, I only had one Blood Angels unit, which is Tycho in the command squad. In a Rhino, and I guess if you put Tycho for 85 points, a command squad for 160, I think a Rhino's maybe like 80 as well, so that's probably like 330 or something. Guilliman's like 355. So
I have awoken.
Good evening, David. How are you doing? Thanks so much for 11 months of membership. I appreciate it.
How about using in that game where you're going to take your Falchion and
I don't know at what point you can move the Oath. Could you shoot the main cannon at one target, blow it off the board, and then move the Oath at that point, and then shoot the 8 las cannons at something else? Yeah, I mean, I guess it probably makes sense.
I don't think you could, because you have to declare your targets before rolling. So,
I think I actually haven't really looked into what combos are really, really strong with Ultramarines. I know some people were talking about, like, I've seen people talking about, like, Marneus Calgar can I think he can maybe go with Blade Guard or Aggressors. I saw someone talking about it. Good evening, Fox. How are you?
Hi, Fox.
But haven't actually looked too deep into, like, is there other characters for Ultramarines that are like a super big win, or like just, you know, like, I've been doing some research on combos that Blood Angels can got, and I think I've got a pretty tasty one to do another video about, so hopefully I can get that out this week. Which is like a combo that I've seen nobody running. So.
Actually, just reading the rule for the Master of Battle rules on Guilliman. After you've selected an enemy, usually Oath the Moment ability, select a second enemy unit until the start of your next command phase. If the first unit selected has been destroyed, each time a friendly starter makes an attack at the target of the second enemy unit, you can reroll the hit roll and reroll the win roll.
Oh, cool! So you just pick them in order. Wow. Yeah, Guilliman is crazy good, because Oath of Moment is arguably one of the best abilities that we have access to. So being able to do it twice is just super strong. If anyone's wondering what's going on tonight, I'm streaming with Mike. Mike does a lot of Blood Angels commissions. Mike obviously plays Blood Angels as well. You can check him out. He's over on Twitch. Mike Chili. Why is it Chili? Do you like Chili, Mike?
Do you remember what my surname is?
I was going to say, is your surname Chili?
No, my surname's Carney.
Oh, right. I get you now. Okay. So you do like chili then?
I do actually like chili. It's one of my favourite meals actually, but not because of the name. It is really nice.
I get it now.
Yeah.
Clever.
Yeah, I've had that handle since I was like, teenager, first getting on computers.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say you're gonna have one of those classic email addresses where you go into like a bank or something and they say to you, what's your email address, and you got to tell them your email address you made when you were 15. I'm 40 this year, and like I still use the email address I made when I was like 14, and I was like,
oh no, I've got a more grown-up email address now.
You've done that? Okay, good. I don't. I just have everything still go to the fucking Hotmail from like the 90s, the mid 90s. It's ridiculous.
I think the most embarrassing username I had for anything from that time was like chili for you. Wasn't something along those lines. It was, I don't know, I was trying to be, I don't know what
Deep Striking Sternguard with the Librarian Ultramarine seems fun. Do you know what? I think Tycho does better than Sternguard. Like I've seen a lot of people talk about like Sternguard, and I looked at the maths, but honestly I think Tycho is better, because
I wish Tycho could lead.
What do you want him to lead?
Sternguard.
But I think the command squad he runs, the fact you can put rapid fire on their guns and stuff, I think is just super cool.
Well, if you just take, say, Sternguard with just the Sternguard bolt rifles, they don't have rapid fire baked in. They've got assault, heavy, sustained hits 1. If you make them rapid fire as well.
It's only rapid fire 1 he makes weapons though.
Yeah, still one extra shot.
Yeah, that's true, I suppose.
One more chance to get a devastating wound.
I think Tycho is just great for taking out infantry now.
Has he fared himself when he's doing stuff himself rather than what the unit he leads?
He was almost. I want to say Tycho was my MVP this week against Imperial Guard. I wasn't sure about taking him as well, because I was like, well, he's good against infantry in this Imperial Guard. I didn't know the list, but I had assumed that the list was going to be all armor. So I was like, I don't think Tycho's going to be very good in this matchup because I'm going to be fighting up against all armor. But Tycho did I just took regular Tycho. He did 8 mortal wounds into a tank. And then he honestly tanked so many indirect fire shots. I should have, if I'd realised how good he was against, because basically Tycho saves on a 2, right? So when I was and I was in cover, so when I was getting shot by indirect, I was ignoring 1 AP, so he hit me with like loads and loads of -2 AP stuff, which I was ignoring. So it was like I was just saving on 3-ups for days. And if I'd paid 1 CP, I think I failed like 2, and both of them were a 2. If I'd paid like 1 CP for Armor of Contempt, Tycho would have honestly tanked like maybe like, well, it would have been like 3 of those Earthshaker cannons and 2 Basilisks and like 2 or 3 Manticores. Like, he tanked it all. I just saved everything. And for before the game, thinking I don't know if Tycho's going to be any good here, he was amazing.
Not bad for a dead guy.
Yeah, not bad for a dead guy. He's been dead for like
since
20 years in the low at this point.
Yeah, I just remember thinking as soon as we saw that he got rules, I think, oh, he's why does he still have rules? And actually, his rules were actually the best he's ever had.
I mean, he's like the best character we have. So I'm gonna run him. Probably like, I think he's the only Blood Angels character I'm running at the moment. He's in a Rhino with his command squad, and I guess the cool thing is if they don't kill the Rhino, then I'm just going to shoot my last cannons out the windows of the Rhino, because fortunately I've got 2 last cannons, and fortunately Rhino's got firing deck too, right?
Do leader abilities still apply to the unit when they're in the transport? It's one thing
No, you can't make the squad rapid fire when they're in the transport, unfortunately.
Damn.
That would have been cool. Rapid fire last cannons out of the
basically better than a predator at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it would have been a pseudo predator at that point. Yeah, you're right. I mean, less toughness, I guess, but auto repair and stuff. Yeah, it's funny. 10th edition has done a lot of stuff well, I think, but it's definitely got some balance issues to get right.
Yeah.
Still want
to try Librarian Dreadnought throwing a hard-hitting unit with the board turn 1 at some point.
Yeah, I haven't figured out how to use Librarian Dreadnought well yet, I guess. Command Squad could be an option, I guess. It'll be sad when Tycho goes, says Nathan. I think this might be Tycho's last hurrah this edition. Like, I don't know why they made his rules so good compared to everything else. Like, why has he got 12 attacks in melee? It's like...
Don't he have devastating wounds as well?
Well, that's why he can do a lot of damage, is devastating wounds on his main gun, plus Melta 2, plus 2 attacks, plus he can give himself rapid fire. So if you're within 12 inches, Tycho alone can do 12 mortal wounds, I think, is the number, because you get 2 shots. Rapid fire 1 gives you 3 shots. Against infantry, every 4-up is 4 mortal wounds if you're within 12 inches. So if you have like Oath, like probably the best thing you can do actually is Librarian Dreadnought Tycho into their backfield where they've got like a weak objective with just infantry on it. You oath that target, so you've got full rerolls against it, and then every 4-up Tycho goes is 4 mortal wounds. So I mean, like before anyone else in the squad is shot, and you can have like a rapid fire las cannon. Well, you can have 2 rapid fire las cannons. You can have a combi bolt, a combi weapon on someone else, and then I think you can have a couple of infernal pistols on the last couple of guys. But yeah, I mean, it's enough. 2 las cannons with rapid fire, Tycho's weapon doing 12 mortal wounds, and then a combi weapon, I guess, potentially doing some thing as well. It's enough to just...
Can a lieutenant also lead a command squad alongside Tycho?
A lieutenant can join the command squad alongside Tycho, yes. I just hadn't worked out if that was worth the points. I mean, the lieutenant would give you another combi weapon, and it would give you lethal hits, but lethal hits would actually detriment you from Tycho's devastating wounds, right?
Unless you take Mortal Discipline, and then you get sustained hits.
How do you feel about command squad with multi-melters or heavy bolters? I mean, I feel fine about them. I just think las cannons can kill everything, and las cannons are probably going to get the most benefit from rapid fire, right?
Especially with the range.
Yeah, because you're going to get a rapid fire at 24 inches. On Multi-Melta's rapid fire would only be 9 inches now, which is pretty poor. I mean, 3 shots from a Multi-Melta is I mean, it's not bad, right?
But chances of actually getting them there are a lot harder.
Yeah. I think if you're going to run a command squad, I think you want them in a transport as well, because it's going to take you 2 or 3 turns to get them across the board.
Have you had any thoughts on rocking out 3 or 4 drop pods?
What I think if you want, like, I almost was convinced when I saw the rules for Sternguard to make some drop pods, because I've got one that's brand new on sprue, and I've had it on sprue for like, oh god, like probably 2 years at this point, and I've just been needing a reason to make it. And like, I was almost convinced to make it, but then I was like, if I really want a unit to get in turn 1, would I not just use my Librarian Dreadnought? I mean, what's the drop pod gonna do for me? The drop pod's got a big footprint as well, Librarian Dreadnought can obviously drop things that are much smaller. Like, yeah. I feel like if you were gonna run a drop pod, like, for me anyway, if I was gonna run a drop pod now, I feel like you would want to drop it on an objective, right? So like, once everybody's out of it and everybody that was got the transport is away doing stuff, you've actually got something, right? Like, you've got that drop pod on the objective. I assume a drop pod's got OC value. I actually don't know.
I was actually just about to look that up.
But at least in previous editions, if you brought a drop, if you brought a drop pad, you wanted to drop it on an objective, so that it was like, or even better, you want to open the doors so it's got that giant footprint and drop it so it touches 2 objectives, and then you can choose which one you want to control with, right? So like, I get that could be useful, but I just don't know.
In retrospect of me suggesting, I've just remembered about when I ran my Dreadnought army with 2 Dreadnought drop pods, and I could never ever get them anywhere decent because the board was just screened. Well,
the second people start doing that, that's when the meta changes, right? If you think of like the meta at the end of Arcs of Omen, every Space Marine player was running like multiple squads of infiltrators, because Chaos Demons were a thing, and Chaos Demons made their like 5-inch deep strike charges pretty reliably, or whatever you call it. So everyone was like, right, well, as a Space Marine player, I'll just take these because then I don't need to deal with 5-inch demon charges. So I guess that's, I'm not seeing a way to make drop pods like super brilliant, but if there is a way to do it, then the metals shift and everyone will do it, and then it'll be cleaned up, or people will take infiltrators again to counter it. So I could get on board with taking 1 Dreadnought or 1 drop pod. I guess you don't get the Dreadnought drop pod anymore, sorry.
No, but like, the 2 I've got are now thinking, boo.
If I was going to build the drop pod, I feel like I drop it on an objective turn 1. And I think there's possibly other ways you could do that now. Like I used it just this last week, where I just put my teleport homer on the middle objective turn 1, and then it's like, okay, so if the enemy aren't on the middle objective in like turn 1 or 2, I'll just bring in my rapid ingress Terminators down in the middle of the board, right?
Yeah. Ironically, I have 40 Terminators, and these are the first I've actually finished.
You've got 40?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a bit of a problem in buying too much.
Oh, don't we all? I have 10 close combat Terminators that are the Rogue Trader ones, so they are the metal ones from before 2nd edition. They have the metal lightning claws that look terrible. They literally look terrible. Their Thunder Hammers look like, I don't know, they look like a wrench or something. Like, there's no... they don't look anything like current Terminator. So I've got 10 of those. Then I have, I think I've got 15, like, of the actual Blood Angels Assault Terminators. You know, the ones that we like the kits of. So that gives me 25. Then I got the 10 out of this Leviathan box that I just got. And then I also have like 15 or 20 more of that same, like just chain fist ones or whatever. And out of like those, so it's like I've got 50 Terminators. Honestly, I think I have 5 fully painted. It's pretty embarrassing. I don't know how I've managed to get 50 Terminators and only paint 5 of them fully. But I think a lot of people didn't run Terminators for a long time, right? Like, people just ran Death Company, Sangre Guard, Vanguard Veterans. No one cared about Terminators.
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to use them. I just couldn't bring myself to paint them.
I was gonna say, if anything, like I was more excited about Blade Guard last edition. Like, I ran Blade Guard more often last edition than I ran Terminators.
Oh yeah, taking 6 of them and led by Judicaire is awesome. It's like, I dare you to charge me.
You can use the drop pod as a distraction or like an obstacle, obstruction. Sorry, says Serenade. Yeah, I mean, it can definitely be used as an obstacle.
Sure, but you're still gonna have something in it, so you've got to think: what if you're just using an obstacle? Is the thing that's going to be in it going to be easily killed?
I was going to say, you used to be able to do stuff like put two company veterans in it or something like that. You don't got that option or that simple option now, do you?
Well, you can stick 4 servitors in it.
Not many people are playing servitors, I feel like. Did Thailand Phoenix tell you the janky squad that he has with the servitors? I actually really like it, and I want to.
By the way, because you can attach like 3 servitor units to 1 tech marine because of the way the rules are written, and then attach a tech marine to whatever unit the tech marine can attach to. So you've got like a massive squad.
Yeah, so you can attach a tech marine to 10 intercessors, which I guess, like that's 10 guys with bolt rifles. They're not bad. They're not great. They're not bad. But then you could attach 3 squads of servitors to that tech marine. So you have your 10 intercessors with 12 servitors. The servitors have like ballistic skill 4, but if they're in the squad with the tech marine, it gets ballistic skill 3, and they can have multi-meltas, which are heavy, which means +1 to hit. So you can actually have 6 servitors with multi-meltas hitting on 2s if they stay still. And obviously they can't really kill them because they've got to chew through 20 wounds of intercessors first, right?
Yeah, intercessors aren't to be sniffed at. That they're sticky objective thing, and because what I've been doing my 1,000-point games, I've had the lieutenant leading them, or lieutenant, and he's got the bolter discipline, so they actually took a good chunk of wounds off a knight because of auto wounds.
Auto wounds. I was going to say, the other thing you could do is the second they get shot, just Armor of Contempt them every time, just to be like, I really want those 6 servitors with multi-meltas to stay alive.
Yeah, I've only got 4, and one of them's gone missing by my desk somewhere.
It would be good. You know what I miss when you used to be able to, like, Marine players used to be able to explode your vehicles, or certain vehicles used to be able to just explode for like command points. I kind of miss that they got rid of that. I think we used to have it on repulsors. Like, there must be like 8th edition we could explode repulsors. I don't know what else we could. There was definitely a rule at one point where we could auto explode stuff.
I thought it was only ever Imperial Knights and maybe Orcs that had that, but again,
we definitely had it on some. We didn't have it on everything, but we had it on some.
Yeah, well, back in 8th edition, I think I only played like 5 games in total of it.
Okay.
Just because of not have the opportunity to play it so much, because it was around about the time I'd moved house and hadn't really found myself a new player base.
If you go 50 Terminators, you should be playing Dark Angels. Yeah, Dark Angels get the best out of Terminators. I don't think I like that many Terminators. I'm trying to think. I ran the Chainfist Terminators. My opinion of melee right now is I think it's going to be very difficult. Like, and I think the Chainfist Terminators really showed me what I'm glad I actually played 10 Chainfist Terminators in 18 games. It really actually showed me like the weakness of melee. And it should have been more obvious to me, right? Because like, well, I do the army list show a bunch of times in 10th edition, or 9th edition, sorry. And one of the things I always used to say in the army list show is like, if you're playing Blood Angels in melee, you need like 10 3 damage weapons in melee. If you don't have 10 3 damage weapons in melee, or at least 10 is what I used to say, then you would end up fighting something that's got -1 damage on a lot of targets. Like, I don't know, you'd run into like a player running Iron Hands or something. And they're running a
Dreadnoughts.
Yeah, you're running like fucking 10 Dreadnoughts, so your whole army's -1 damage. And then you would if you're only running stuff that has 2 damage weapons, you would basically lose 50% of your damage, and if the enemy can basically half your damage from your whole army, then you're at a huge disadvantage. Use a bigger brush. I mean, I guess I could use a bigger brush. This is a small brush, you're probably right.
Is that the Games Workshop synthetic one?
It is, yeah. I'm trying to think. I think it was 2 Hit to Wounds sent me a bunch of these synthetic ones. I don't know where he got them from. But he just sent me a bunch of them. I was actually not planning on painting too much more of this tank. I was going to go and paint some bits on my command squad. I just thought I'd try and get a 3rd colour onto this tank so that it's got 3 colours on it, and then I technically can play it battle ready. I mean, it's going to look pretty bad, but I mean, it's got 3 colours on it.
I always feel really bad when I can't, if I'm playing any units that aren't fully painted yet.
I feel bad if they don't have 3 colours. I get too much stuff to worry about. I mean, 3 colours in base is usually like the bare minimum that I would like to try and play with.
Yeah, sometimes if it's like a brand new unit, I'll sometimes run it out just to see how quickly do I actually want to paint this unit.
Yeah, I'm 100% the same. Yeah. Have I looked at the Hunter? No, haven't really looked at the Hunter. What's good about the Hunter?
Anti-fly 2 up.
Anti-fly 2 up. I mean, that's good. That's good against Blood Angels, but like, I suppose it might be good against Tau. But I thought battle suits. Like, I haven't played any Tau players yet. I assume that like spamming battle suits is not nearly as important as it was. Or
I saw it's anti-fly 3 up. No, I've actually maybe it's the other one I'm thinking of. It was anti, because the other anti-air vehicle. What's that one called again? I've forgotten.
Stalker, is it?
Yeah, Stalker. That's the one.
Anti-fly 3 up and devastating wounds. Yeah, I mean that would be brutal into Blood Angels.
I mean, the Icarus Storm Cannon has anti-fly 2 up. That's the one I was thinking of. It doesn't have devastating wounds. But it is 2 damage, 6 shots. But how much stuff do you go against as fly? That's the other thing.
I guess situationally it's good, right?
It's going to feel weird.
Sorry, on you go.
Yeah, it's going to feel weird painting these Infernus Marines with blue helmets.
I think we had this conversation before where like people were saying that they should have blue helmets because they're fire support.
Yeah, the fire support. Which when you think about it, yeah, even though they're close range, but the same thing. Aggressors have blue helmets as well, and I think they should be more like close support. But
I painted my aggressors with red helmets.
Yeah, I haven't decided what my aggressors will be. I've got that's another unit that I've got as far as just spraying red and then went back in the box because the Games Workshop released something else that was shiny and I wanted.
Yeah, I haven't brought myself to play. You know, it's funny because I complained a lot that aggressors. I liked aggressors a lot in 8th edition, and then I barely played them in 9th. But they lost 2 of their best abilities in 9th. But I haven't. I guess I'm not 100% sold on like twin-linked weaponry and stuff like that. I guess like It's a weird one. I guess Twin Link doesn't stack really with Oath of Moment or anything like that, right? So it's
yeah, I can't stand them bringing back Twin Linked.
Yeah.
I really love the fact that you'd get 12 shots out of a assault cannons, and now it's back to 6.
Yeah, I don't think 6 assault cannon shots, even with the devastating wounds on the assault cannon. I feel like I don't feel that strong anymore. I mean,
yeah, they should have looked at what they did with the ballistas' twin las cannons. Just give them a custom name and give them 2 shots. Oh, yeah, double shots.
Yeah, like some sort of custom Godhammer assault cannons. That's what they could have called them.
Yeah,
they had Godhammer las cannons, and every Eldar tank does fly. Well, maybe that's the way that we get Eldar out of the meta, huh? Everyone just brings some tanks with devastating wounds and anti-fly.
that was when you come up against the.
But anti-fly does indeed work against jump pack units as well. Yes.
So it's bad against us if we don't go for all tanks. Repulsors and Repulsors don't have fly, do they?
They used to have fly, and then
I know they did an 8, but they took it away in 9.
Took it away, and they gave them that Grav Pulse stratagem, which I guess is gone now. Cameron says you can run Tycho, a command squad, and a first lieutenant because Tycho is a captain keyword. Lethal hits, fallback, shooting, and charge. Yeah, I'm not sure if I like the lieutenant with the command squad, Cameron, because it's already quite expensive, and the lieutenant, when I was looking at it, I'm not sure he brings enough, right? Like, he brings like a power fist and potentially like a combi weapon or an infernal pistol, which I guess is fine, but the lethal hits will remove Tycho's ability to get devastating wounds. Maybe
unless you took the Bolt of Discipline to get the sustained hits.
I suppose you could take. I suppose you're right. You could take Bolt or Discipline on him, but that's if you're going Gladius. That's if you're going Gladius. I prefer Gladius at the moment, though. When I've been running Tycho, I've already been using like Tactical Doctrine for fall back and shoot and charge anyway. So I don't necessarily need the Lieutenant for fallback and charge, but yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea to put Lieutenant in. I'm just not sure.
It's probably only good if you gave him the Bolt of Discipline. Otherwise, it'd be a bit of a waste.
But then, Bolt of Discipline's like 25 points, is it?
Something like that, yeah.
So then your Lieutenant's like 100 and something.
Yeah. But then you also got to think: wouldn't you rather have Bolt of Discipline on, say, your Desolation Squad?
I think having run Bolt or Discipline on a Desolation Squad and having also ran it on a Eradicator Squad, I think Bolt or Discipline is probably going to give you the most value on those Desolation Marines, just because weight of fire, meaning you've got like a lot more chance of getting like a high number of bursting 5s and 6s. Can a Sanguinary Priest go in the command squad? The Sanguinary Priest is so limited in what he can go on. He cannot go in a command squad.
I think it's just Vanguard, Assault Squad.
I think you can put them in a tactical squad if you pick the one without a jump pack. But no, you can't go in the command squad. Do you know what? So many people have made that mistake though, because like every day, not every day, but I want to, yeah, I don't know, at least 10 times people have said to me, like when I've made my weekly videos about Blood Angels, people are like, John, have you thought about putting a Sanguinary Priest with a Sanguinary Guard? And I was like, yeah, I fucking thought about that day one, but you can't do it. Like,
it's almost criminal that they can't do that. You know, they've got the same name.
They got this. Well, exactly. People are just assuming because they've got the same name, and because it would make the most sense that they can go together. And then they're thinking that I haven't read the book or something, because they're like, "Why aren't you putting these two together? They're like made to be together." And I mean, they kind of are, but they just can't, I guess.
Yeah. Just make that a little bit more survivable when you get the inevitable 2 damage high AP shot coming at them.
I still don't think, even if they'd made it that the Sanguinary Guard could attach to sorry, even if they made it that the priest could attach to the Sangard, I still don't think you could have run 10-man squad of Sangard. I think it would still be like 420 points for 10. 420 points for 10 Space Marines with toughness 4 and a 2-up save is.
It's a bit much.
It's horrific. When you could come like 420 points will get you a knight with 20 something odd wounds at toughness 12 and all the guns in the world. Yeah. I actually think Armigers are crazy good at the moment.
Yeah, there's one thing I don't have. I do have a knight that I've never used. I've technically got 3 knights, but I've only finished 1.
Yeah, I don't know any knights. I've run them to tournaments though. People have let me borrow theirs, and I've had fun with them at tournaments. I ran them in. I think I ran them in season before Arcs of Omen. I ran Warglavies, and it was pretty fun to run Warglavies to an event. And arguably, I think it would be even better to run them now because the Warglavies have kept crazy high strength on their melta gun. I don't know why they got to keep it and everybody else lost it, but for whatever reason, Warglavies have strength 12 melta.
Nice.
Which is really good for 100, like, they're 140 points, they move 12 inches, they got OC8, they got strength 12 melta, they got strength 10 melee. I was going to say, I'm sure they get something else that's really good. Toughness 10. I mean, the toughness 10 is really good as well for the Armiger.
I'm just trying to find what's the big melter on a knight strength?
On the Warglavy, it's like strength 12 thermal spear. It's got more range as well. I think it's got pretty good range. The thermal spear.
Thermal cannon is 24 inches, 2d3 shots, strength 12, -4. With melter 6. So it's d6 plus 6 when you're in half range. Nice.
Oh yeah, that's it. The thermal spear is melta 4 as well. Yeah. There's so many good things to like about Armigers. Like if I suppose everyone's probably gonna run Blood Angels with 3 Gladiator Lancers, but I think you would probably do pretty well at a tournament if you took just 3 Armigers with your Blood Angels list. Because they kind of can do everything. They can hold, they can kill, they can move fast.
But they can't benefit from oaths.
Well, they can't benefit from oaths, and they can't get any stratagems played on them, and I guess they can't get like the benefits of being from the Knight Detachment, which lets them reroll 1s to hit and wound. And they have invulnerables against range, yeah. Somebody suggested the Apothecary Biologist with Bolter Discipline attached to Eradicators. So I did this sort of, and I felt like it was not reliable enough because Eradicators only wound armor on 5s. Whereas, like, I ran the Bolter Discipline, like the regular Apothecary with like 10 Desolation Marines, and then I also had a Thunderstrike in that list, and I just felt like that was toughness 10 is like a breakpoint for a bunch of things, right? Armigers, for example, like we just talked about, Armigers being really good. Well, toughness 10 is a breakpoint for them. So, like, Eradicators will wound them on 5s, Desolation Marines will wound them on 4s. So Desolation Marines arguably wound them 50% more of the time. So even with no rerolls, it's almost even. So Desolation Marines have more range. You're probably not going to get your Eradicators into half range anymore. Like, you're probably just not going to get into half range anymore because multi-meltas and like thermal melta rifles are like only 18 inches now, so you can't arrive from reserve within half range. So I think you're better just running Desolation Marines, right? With the Bolter Discipline.
It's a shame Repulsor can't take Gravis because then that could almost work because you could advance it and then jump them out and you might be in range then, but you wouldn't be able to lead a carriage because they're too big.
Yeah, the only way I think you could maybe make that work is if you put the Gravis Marines inside. I thought about this actually. You put the Gravis Marines in a transport, but then the transport I would probably want to put them in is a repulsor because the Land Raider. Like I've run a Land Raider already in 10. I'm almost going to say 9th edition until the end of the time apparently. I've run the Land Raider in 10th edition. And I felt like I ran the regular one. I think it's 275 points. I don't really see I have a Crusader, right, which is 255 points. But I don't really see the point of running a Crusader as a Blood Angels player because it's like the Crusader has a lot of infantry DACA. But do we need that as Blood Angels? Probably not, because we could just kill shit with chainswords if we have to, or we could just kill stuff in melee with our fists if we have to. So I'm not sure the Crusader is really useful, viable. So I think I'd want to put the Gravis Eradicators inside a Repulsor. But then if you attach the Biologist to them, then that's 6 models plus the Biologist, which is 7. Well, you can't fit 7 inside a Repulsor. Not Gravis, because they take up 2 slots. But yeah, so my experience of running Bolter Discipline on Eradicators was generally pretty bad. It also felt like the extra AP you were getting from the Melta was kind of wasted, because you're going after big tough targets. Well, big tough targets have invulnerable saves. For the most part anyway. I get that Space Marine big tough targets don't get invulnerable saves, but most other armies get invulnerable saves. So you think to yourself, the -4 of the Eradicators is probably wasted most of the time, actually.
Unless you're shooting another Space Marines Gladiator Lancers.
Yeah. I mean, if you're shooting, I was going to say you're shooting. I actually don't know what the Land Fortress used to only get an invuln if you had it in that. Is it Ygri's Conglomerate? I actually don't even know if Votan still get those.
I've only played Votan once, and that was in my Dreadnought list.
Do Votan still get the 5 different chapters, or is it just one type of Votan at the moment? I actually don't know.
I can't tell you. I've not looked at them yet because there's only one guy at my club who has Votan, and I've not. Well, he's always playing other games at the moment.
I like the idea behind the Land Raider Redeemer for the Overwatch, John, but I hate the points cost. So I think 295 points for Redeemer is that's 105 points more than a Repulsor. I don't know. I think it's I think you're basically paying a tax on that assault ramp, and the tax on the assault ramp for me is just way too much. If let's say you were going to just put all right, let's use Dante and 5 Sanguinary Guard as a good argument, right? We could all agree that Dante and 5 Sanguinary Guard are going to be super difficult to play at the moment because they're so expensive, right? And you could start them off the board in Rapid Ingress, but there's still a danger of Rapid Ingress. If the enemy's got a lot of indirect, you're probably not going to be able to feel safe Rapid Ingressing, right? Because then they just indirect the hell out of you, and you're dead anyway, regardless of where you hit them. So if you want to get Dante and 5 Sanguinary Guard into the fight, or a Captain and 5 Sanguinary Guard, when I did it in the first day, or my first game of 10th edition, I put them in a Land Raider. Well, you could put them in a Repulsor, right? Because you don't need the Repulsor to move forward to give them bonus to the charge. You could just move the Repulsor forward 10 inches in turn 1 and just sit there. In turn 2, you could disembark 3, then you could move 12, and then you could charge from that. So you technically have a 27-inch threat range coming out of the repulsor, like to the charge with Dante. Well, yeah, 27-inch threat range. I mean, realistically, probably reliably, you have like 23, 24. But, you know, like, as much as maybe I would like to run a Redeemer, I'm not sure I'm willing to pay 100 points more for an Assault Ramp, which maybe is Blood Angels. Unless you're going to use Blade Guard or Terminators, you probably don't need the Assault Ramp. Because if you're putting jump units that are super expensive and you need to protect inside the transport, then I feel like you may as well go for the Repulsor and save yourself 100 points.
Thanks for following, Victor.
Suppressors make enemies -1 to hit now. They used to only affect infantry. Now they will make enemies -1 to hit. Netbrick 76. Thank you so much for following. Appreciate it.
Actually,
I was going to say, is -1 to hit that worth it? I mean, it's not bad, right?
I mean, it could be useful, but
like if you're playing a guy who's got lots of big knights, then yeah, sure, -1 to hit from suppressors, I suppose, isn't bad. No one's really jumped on suppressors, I guess. They've been a bit of a sleeper unit, I suppose, for 10th edition.
I mean, I used them once ever.
I used them a couple of times in 9th edition trying to get them to work, and I just almost feeling that my Whirlwind was the better choice.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the Whirlwind is still a good choice.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like the battle shock component of the Whirlwind is less. Like, I don't know if I feel like battle shock has worked out quite as good as Games Workshop wanted it to work out. Like, before 10th edition came out, it sounded like battle shock was going to be very, very meaningful. And having played like 5 games now, I feel like it's not meaningful at all. Maybe in some matchups it will be meaningful, like Chaos Knights or something. But in your regular standard matchups, where most of the time you even though you battle shock every turn, it just feels like it's not that meaningful.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that one key unit on the objective that you want to make sure you score points for, you could just spend a CP to, have them actually have passed it.
Well, maybe that's the thing. Like, when you failed your leadership test in 9th edition, you'd failed. There was nothing you could do about that. You had to decide beforehand if you were going to insane bravery. And maybe that's the way it should have stayed, because now, when you fail it on the key unit, like you said, you just burn that one command point, which you have anyway, because it's your command phase, usually.
Yeah.
So, it has... Battle Shock, to me, feels like it's had minimal impact on the game, or it's had minimal... Yeah, just a minimal system, I guess. Masadia says, "Hi, I'm a new Blood Angels player and making a 1,000-point list and wanted to know if I should run Sons of Sanguinius or Gladius. Also know what units I should run." Good question. You should run whichever detachment you think is going to work best with the units that you have. I think both detachments are probably about even in terms of strength, but I think if you're going to make Sons of Sanguinius work, you're going to want to be going harder on the melee. I think the Gladius is the more all-round detachment. My general feeling is that the more all-round is slightly stronger at the moment, just because armor is really cheap and also really tough to kill. So you get like really good cheap units that are really tough to kill. But that's really my opinion. I can link you to my podcast episode that we had this week, or maybe Mark, if you're still in the chat, you could link the podcast we did this week, because we did a video this week about basically writing your first Blood Angels list.
Yeah, flame aggressors are one thing I don't have.
The what's is the one thing you don't have? The
flame
Redeemer?
aggressors. No, flame aggressors.
Flame aggressors. No, I don't have them either. You think they're good now?
Somebody was just talking about them in Macidius, I don't know.
Okay.
I just thought actually I have almost every kind of Space Marine unit you could think of, but that is one I don't have.
See, I have Flamer Centurions, and I feel like they kind of are the same. I mean, they're not the same unit, but in terms of like what they can do, I feel like the Centurions and Aggressors are kind of the same unit. So if you've got Flamer Centurions, do you need Flamer Aggressors? Like, cause they, they're slow-moving, hard-hitting infantry that has some like anti-charge deterrent through the Flamers, or anti-horde firepower through the Flamers. Like, I've never, because I built my Aggressors with bolt guns, and then I built my Centurions with Flamers. I never felt the urge to. I never felt Aggressors were good enough to be like, right, I need Flame Aggressors over the bolt ones, right? I was like, if I want that sort of like durable, higher toughness infantry that's just going to walk forward and flame shit, I can do that fine with Centurions.
Yeah, although every time I look at Centurions, I see the 4-inch movement speed and I think, God, is this second edition movement?
The 4-inch move speed, I think the way you fix that is that you use your Librarian Dreadnought with the Centurions. I think that's how you try and fix that.
Yeah.
Whether or not that works on paper, I guess is another question, but that's how I would try and fix that.
Now I've just got in my head, because with the psychic power where he's casting wings on a unit, thinking about Centurions with wings.
Oh, Mark's asking about Flamer. I see the question now. Let me get the episode about writing the Blood Angels piece for you.
Have you put much thought into what units you'd want to take for a boarding actions army?
I think Mephiston, because I don't think Mephiston is good in regular 10th edition, because, well, like, he lost a bunch of his maneuverability, didn't he? And he do you know, when I first looked at it and they saw that they'd given it an invulnerable save, I was pleasantly surprised, I guess. But I think his strength lets him down. Because, like, if you look at Mephiston, like, that's just the thing that's a bit weird, right? Like, so Mephiston used to be strength 10, which historically just meant, like, you had godly strength. It was like, so your strength 10 was better than all armor in the game, right? There was nothing last edition that had toughness 10. If there was, someone correct me in chat. But I think the Rogaldarn was toughness 9. I think maybe the Falchion was toughness 9, or like a super heavy tank was toughness 9. I don't think there was anything that was toughness 10.
Maybe one of the Titans.
Yeah, maybe a Titan might have been T10. So what, there's one T10 unit in the game. So Mephiston used to have T10, or Mephiston used to have strength 10. Which meant, like, he was smashing most things on... Well, he was basically wounding everything in the game on 2s, right? Because he would have been strength 10 with +1 to wound from Blood Angels. So it's like, you've gone from Mephiston wounding all the things in the game on 2s to suddenly, like, what, he's wounding an Armiger on 5s? Like, F off.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess in boarding actions, yes, he's wounding most things on 2s, or maybe some things on 3s. But, like, that's a big jump from, like, hey, I can wound everything on the game on to 2s to, like, I wound something as small, like, not that Armiger's a pitiful unit, but, I mean, it's not, like, it's not heavily armored or anything like that, right? And it's like, oh, right, so I just wound these sort of things on 5s now. It's like, well, that's not so good, is it?
Yeah, I've not yet included Mephiston in any kind of list.
I did think he was going to be really good because they finally made his fight first better.
Yeah.
Because his fight first was rubbish for as long as he's had it, I guess.
Well, you could only ever get that if you gave him the Warlord trait, which you would never do anyway.
I said, wouldn't Tycho be great in boarding actions? Yeah, I mean, he would be, I guess, just coming into the corridors and just smashing out anti-infantry 4-ups for 4 mortal wounds. You're 100% right, Foz. Tycho's just the man at the moment, isn't he? Just the best.
I can actually see my boarding actions list shifting from it's mainly like battle lines stuff heavy at the minute. But I can imagine myself going Unit 5 Infernus Marines because Flamers, and then Stern Guard. Basically, the contents of the Leviathan box are perfect for boarding actions.
I mean, maybe there was a strong thought behind Games Workshop for that. I don't know.
Yeah, I've just bought myself a Tycho as well, so definitely.
I thought Blade Guard would be really good in boarding actions.
They are really good. They tanked a Orc War boss on objectives for a bit, so my chaplain could get in and finish off.
Yeah, I kind of expected Blade Guard to do well, and I think that the improvements to their save now potentially in melee is actually really cool as well.
The other great thing is I found out, if say you've got a Judiceer or a chaplain leading them, this is a normal 40k, not in boarding actions, but you've got a leader leading them that has an invulnerable save. That reroll 1 to invulnerable saves applies to that leader as well.
But you can't take, like, the only way that would matter is if your leader's getting sniped, right? You can allocate saves to the model, or is it different in boarding actions?
No. I'm just talking about, because in boarding actions you don't actually lead units. You can just confer abilities from leaders onto a unit they could lead with a strat. But say you've got a unit that's in combat with your Blade Guard and your Judiceer or whatever, and there are sufficient attacks to kill all the Blade Guard.
Oh, yeah, right, I'm with you.
Because at the time they were leading, they still benefit.
Yeah, it's the same as, like, if they kill everybody, then you would take the remaining saves on the character even though the squad has been wiped. Yeah,
and conversely, say you've charged and you're still using the reroll ones on the hits, that applies to the leader as well.
Yeah, reroll ones on the hits for the Judiceer would actually be really useful.
Yeah, if I'd remembered to have done that, then I would have done a lot better than I did.
Okay, well, 10th edition is definitely a learning curve, and I have been making plenty of mistakes myself, so
yeah,
wouldn't beat yourself too hard up by making a mistake or something like that. For me, I feel like it's going to take a few months to iron out all the mistakes.
Yeah, especially if, as the Games Workshop iron out the mistakes they've made themselves.
Yeah. I am like super tired tonight, so I got like 5 more minutes. If anyone didn't follow Mike yet on Twitch, you can do that. His URL should be scrolling across the top of my screen.
If anybody happens to have any Amazon Prime Twitch subs that they're not using, I'd be very grateful.
Oh yeah, people sometimes do ask if they can support me on Twitch Prime, and they can't.
Oh yeah, have you not made affiliate yet?
I have, but I have to then make my content exclusive to Twitch first before I can put it on YouTube, and my audience is on YouTube, so I'm not going to screw them over, basically.
No, I didn't realise that.
Apparently, you have to. Well, yeah, maybe they changed affiliate since when I got it, because I only got it maybe like a year ago.
Yeah, because I was very fortunate. Went during lockdown, because my Twitch channel was historically for GTA gaming. I already had like enough followers. Oh, thank you, Johnny, for subscribing.
There you go.
Yeah, because I'd already had the necessary follow account for affiliate off the bat. And all I needed to do was get 3 concurrent users on average, which is easy because of the work I do. I can actually manipulate my view account I give myself 3 viewers easily. And then I just had to do it, I think, however many days a month it was. And I was like, yeah, well, I've got affiliate for no work.
Nice. Oh man, I am tired. I'm just looking. I gave this command squad guy one of the Sanguinary Guard banners.
Thank you, Wolfgod, for following.
I cut his hand off and gave him a Sanguinary Guard banner, but I kind of forgot how long it takes me to paint these damn Sanguinary Guard banners.
Yeah.
Kind of I think I normally paint them gold as well. So I'm trying, because it's got all the wings on it and shit. So I'm am I just going to paint this one gold, or is this going to be a red banner? Haven't really decided.
Yeah, I need to dig out my old command squad just in case Tycho rules do stick for a while.
Tycho's rules are going to stick for a while. They are. Get Tycho. Get Tycho on the board before we get to another edition, because will he still have cool rules in another edition? I don't know.
We still even have rules in another edition.
Seller says my new Marine army is 12 Blade Guard and 2 units of Terminators. Looking forward to play my first game soon. I mean, that's a lot of melee. I guess back up with a good amount of firepower and you might do well.
The interesting thing is what options will actually get in when they do the multi-part Terminators. Will they actually let you have all the Cyclones and change lists that you want?
Yeah. I think surely they're going to do some kits with Cyclones. I guess my thought with the Cyclone missile launchers is they always seem to underperform. Part of me was thinking maybe you just want flamers on Terminators, but
I've never really been big on flamers. He says painting Infernus Marines.
Me neither, but I suppose Overwatch being much more flexible,
especially now flamers are better range than they were initially,
maybe makes flamers a lot more attractive. It's kind of hard to say, I guess.
I do miss the templates though.
Yeah, flamer templates were fun, right? A black banner with red, gold, and white angel would be sick. I've never done one of those banners black. Maybe black would be cool. Maybe black with a gold border. I like the idea.
Oh, the travesty! I've just found a bolt weapon that I haven't drilled the barrel of.
No, I even drilled the barrel of my Dante. It's the first time I've ever drilled a weapon barrel. I thought I'd get flamed if I didn't drill this barrel, so I did it.
Yeah. Considering, I know you when I was doing your Repulsor, Gladiator. Yeah, I did any barrel that needed drilling. I did drill because some of the weapons have the barrel effectively pre-made, so I thought it would look a bit out of place if there was some not drilled.
I didn't even realize that you drilled the barrels. That's how little I look at barrels. Well, thank you for taking the time to drill my barrels. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. It doesn't.
I guess drilled barrels aren't a make or break for me, I'm afraid.
James Richards, if I could freehand flames, I would so be on that, but my freehand skills are negligible at best.
Freehand is just all about a lot of practice.
Yeah.
I even find Death Company crosses. I've been doing them for a while now, freehand. I could do them a lot better than I did originally, but I still struggle with getting some of the lines straight and stuff.
Yes. Good benefit of them is that it is just literally just straight lines, but yeah, flames. I struggle with I do lightning effects on my power weapons, and I always struggle like hell. I look at them and think they look more like tree branches.
Power weapon, I do struggle to do the lightning effects on power weapons as well, actually. Drill barrels and don't eat the paint, says Jason. I mean, I think we've all eaten some paint over the years, actually.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, my friend Paul, he absolutely hate. Yeah, he's like someone who like watch my stream and he'll see me lick my brush and he just goes there.
There we go. Don't eat the paint. That's good advice. Alright, I'm gonna call it a night. I am absolutely beat. My kids were up very early this morning, so Mike, it was good to talk to you. Thanks for coming on.
That's all right. And in case anybody wants to watch me paint, I'm going to be probably streaming for another half hour or so. Just want to finish all this recess shading on this squad.
Yeah, so let's see, can I raid you? Do I have anyone watching on Twitch? I got one person watching on Twitch, so I could say
which might actually be me.
Which might be you. Okay, no one's watching me on Twitch. If anyone wants to catch Mike, you can check him out. It's twitch.tv/Mike Chili. I'm trying to think when I'm going to be back next. I'm sure I'm going to be back a couple of times this week. I'll post up a community tab when I'm going to be live. Thanks for hanging out tonight, guys. It was good to see you. Thanks for the subs and stuff like that. I appreciate it. I think I'm playing Sisters of Battle this week, and I think it's going to be like tank warfare again. So I guess if you want to see a much more painted Predator tank from the 90s, look at that. Look at the gorgeous 3 colours on there, eh?
Especially if you could get another painting session between now and then.
I was going to say, yeah, maybe we'll get one more. I don't know how much more I want to do on this right now, because I don't know how serious it is, how serious a list it's going to be with 2 Predator Destructors in it. But I mean, I guess it's 1-1 game, so we'll continue and see where we go. Alright, Mike, great to see you. Thanks, everybody. Please hit the like button if you can. See you guys later. Peace. Good night.
See you, bye.